Hello everyone, VanguardOfValor here, and welcome back. I know it's been a while since we've been doing anything here on YouTube, and I apologize for that. There's been a bunch of things giving me a hard time lately. We came right back from the vacation to working full-time, and that got me really badly sick, and also wrecked my voice for a couple weeks, and then after that, just recently in fact, I decided, you know what, I've heard Windows 10 is a pretty smooth upgrade, I'll just update to it, and then I'll be done with it. Problem solved. Unfortunately, that turned out to be a pretty bad idea because it wound up deleting about 500 gigabytes of data from my hard drive somehow. Most of that seems to be gone forever, but I'm doing my best to recover what I can, so we'll see what happens with that. But you know what? I decided enough was enough, and it was time that we did something here again. So we're back, and today we're going to be playing something pretty awesome. We're going to be playing The Curious Expedition. This game is still in early access, as you can see here by Alpha 15, and it is pretty darn cool. Still needs some more work for sure in some places. There's definitely some more diversity that could be added to it, and a bunch of other things that would make it a lot more exciting and a much more reasonable buy, I suppose. But as it is, the game is still pretty great, and is definitely playable in its current state. So, what we're going to do is we are going to hop into a game and see what it's all about, and hopefully have a grand old time while doing so. Today we're going to play with Nikola Tesla, world-famous inventor of electrical devices, the archetypal mad scientist. Excellent. He starts off with his team, his inventory, and his perk, and we'll get into that in a minute. As for now, let's go. Welcome back to the Explorers Club, old friend. Have you heard that we're building a statue to honor the expeditions of our most famous member? Word is that you have a good chance of seeing your likeness on that statue. However, I'm afraid to tell you that you're not the only candidate. You and your rivals have 6 expeditions to prove who's the most famous explorer within our club. Now go explore. Adventure awaits. So, we have 4 rivals here. Fredericks Courtney Sellis, Alexandra David Neal, Richard Francis Burton, and Harriet Tubman. All different famous historical figures from various reasons. Let's go continue here and see what's what. They're all off on their own missions, and we have one target destination to start ourselves off with. The Black Grasslands. Sounds safe to me. Let's go. Expedition number 1. After a good night's rest, I stored my equipment on the ship. There were still some preparations necessary, so I had one last pot of tea. A missionary approached me this morning. He had decided to leave England and requested to take him to a nearby village in order to spread the word of God. Well, for the starting missions, you either get a missionary or a letter to deliver, and we're going to take the missionary because it's a very easy quest to do, even though the rewards aren't great either. Let's go. I accepted, since I would gladly do my part to help spread the word of God. My heart jumped with joy as I heard that the ship was ready to head for distant shores. Alrighty, Expedition 1, here we go. Will we survive? Only time will tell. A missionary had marked the location of the village he wanted to visit on our map. Fantastic, it's right over here, nice and easy. So, what do we have here on screen? Well, our party's down here on the map. We have a whole unexplored region to adventure through, if we are interested in doing so. We also have the terrain. We have mountains and forests and lakes and swamps, villages and hills, all kinds of different pieces of terrain to travel through. But before we really get too much into it, let's talk about some of the main things we're seeing on screen here. At the top of the screen, you have our sanity bar. The sanity bar is kind of like your ability to keep traveling before things start to go horribly wrong. If your sanity is above 0, you have nothing to worry about. Once your sanity hits 0, though, things can start to go seriously wrong on your expedition, and you have to be very careful what you do. Generally, you want to try and rest or do some other way to boost your sanity back up, such as eating consumables like the whiskey here, which will reveal some of our sanity. Or you want to try and find some other way to do it, but generally it's a little bit tricky to do. Now, beyond that, we also have our inventory at the bottom here. Each of these spaces is something we can carry, although some of these are a little bit extra since we're carrying a missionary with us who's currently granting us 1 extra carrying capacity. But in those spaces currently, we have 2 bottles of whiskey, which are a sanity refill item, which will allow us to travel further. 5 sticks of dynamite, which will allow us to blow up mountains to travel through otherwise impassable terrain. We have fireworks, which will allow us to potentially distract enemies to travel undetected through dangerous areas. We have the Tesla gun, which is a special weapon, which will allow us to do some cool stuff in combat potentially. And we have some shovels, which we'll be able to use to dig up treasure. Maybe. We'll see. For now, though, we're going to explore around a little bit in just a second, but there's still a little bit more to look at before we do that. At the top of the screen, we have the compass, which tries to tell us where the Golden Pyramid is, which is what we need to find to leave the area. Number of days we've spent so far. how much we've explored the current area we're in. Right now we've only discovered one thing, and over here we can see there's an unexplored area. By mousing over, we can see that this section lit up. And we have our current standing with the natives. This star space here adds numbers as we gain the ability to level up our crew, and, more importantly, our crew have their own skills as well. We have Nikola Tesla, who has 2 support die to add to our combat, which we'll get to when we get there. We also have 2 toughness hearts, which gives us effectively 4 health. We also have 2 carrying capacity, and the strong mind skill, which gives us a boost to our starting sanity of 100 up to 130. We have Jacqueline Rousseau, who is a cook who delights in making meals from unusual ingredients, which is a very valuable skill to have, and she gives us a defensive die, which is good to have as well. She also has 2 toughness hearts, or 4 total health, as well as 2 carrying capacity, and the culinary finesse skill, which allows us to cook meat to gain sanity, which is awesome. She starts off not being great at it, but as we level her up, she becomes much more useful. We also have Ferozeshah Tarapore, a Parsi trader. He gives us an attack die, which is a pretty good thing to have, but he only has 1 toughness heart, so only 2 health. He does have 2 carrying capacity, though, and he has an ability that allows us to barter when trading, which is awesome. That gives us the ability to basically get items for free, which is fantastic. We temporarily have a missionary, who's giving us some extra carrying capacity and die, but we're not going to be fighting with him. And we have Mr. Marks the donkey. Welcome aboard, Mr. Marks. He has 3 toughness, but enemies generally don't attack your animals unless you're riding them, and his 3 carrying capacity. Now, if we mount him, his carrying capacity goes down to only 1, but it gives us a big health boost in combat, as Tesla will now be riding the donkey, which will make him much better protected. And we also have an extra attack die, the hoof. So, we are going to travel around this map and see what we can find, and hopefully have a grand old time while doing it. Let's deliver our missionary here, since that's our first objective. We carefully approached an unknown village. Its inhabitants seemed to be in reverence of the spirit world. I could smell that they had just prepared food. The villagers kindly waved us over and offered some of their freshly cooked meat. That's a very good start. Alright, so, this is a way to use the haggle here. It shows up in their inventory. You spend it, and it gives you a boost to the trade goods. Right now it's not a big one, but it becomes much larger as you level up your trader. As it stands, though, we can take 4 meat from these guys for free, which is fantastic. Meat, especially cooked animal meat, a perfectly cooked steak like this one, is very handy. So we'll happily take that offer of 4 cooked meat, and we'll deliver this missionary and get on our way. We accompanied the missionary to the village chief. The elderly man was a compulsive talker and told us about the best sights to see in the region, including a holy shrine which he marked on our map. Our extended presence was perceived well by the natives, and they remained very polite and seemed to be not disturbed by our stay. We could try and recruit somebody, but that'll be difficult because we don't have anything to recruit them with. And we could try and trade with them, but again, all they're going to have is the meat, and we don't really have anything to trade with either yet. So, for now, we leave. We got ready and headed out as new adventures could be waiting around the next corner. Ta-da! There's the holy shrine we just learned about, as well as apparently a tiger protecting it, which we'll find out about once we get there, perhaps. For now, though, we're going to explore around this part of the map and see if we can't find anything hidden away over here, because if we can, we want to try and find all the interesting locations on this part of the map. Traveling a tile costs a day of time, which can be a little bit unfortunate for your result of your expedition, but if we don't travel, it's going to be pretty difficult for us to do anything, so we're going to have to just look around and see what we see. Well, we've found something here. There's something hidden in the swamps, so let's investigate the swamps and see what we find. Here we found, some elephant bones in an elephant graveyard. Let's explore and see what we find here specifically. This bleak and foreboding place was situated in the middle of a swamp, scattered with the remains of long-dead elephants. For some reason, the creatures of many generations had come here to die. Well, let's investigate then. I told the people to form small teams and investigate the surroundings. We inspected some skeletons and found some well-preserved elephant tusks that could be sold for a high price. Well, there's 2 of them, which is a really nice thing. Elephant tusks are basically a reward item. You have to take them back at the end of the expedition to be able to use them. For now, we'll close. As we departed, however, we became aware that our presence had attracted ferocious wildlife. Well, this could be dangerous. It's a black panther. Thankfully, we can get away. Fighting on the first day is very difficult because generally your people are all lowest possible level and you don't have as many as you possibly could, which often just makes things more challenging. So for now, we're going to run away from this panther because we want to try and avoid fighting it at all costs. Can we find another location over here? I'd love to. Yes, we did. Fantastic. We found a stone circle. Let's investigate. We came across a stone circle that was obviously man-made. There were inscriptions etched into each rock, and maybe they formed a kind of map. After analyzing the inscriptions, we found that they would help us to gain insight into a nearby area. This gives us sort of a map-revealing beacon, so we're going to drop it in right here. Ping! 2 tigers. Oh boy. We learned about this waterfall over here, but we don't necessarily need to go there since we have meat. Waterfalls are generally meant for restoring your sanity on the go, but since we've already got our sanity recovery pretty well covered here by our meat and our whiskey, we shouldn't need to do that. We're going to try and travel over this way and see if we can get past this panther without it trying to murder us. We might be okay here. Oh, tiger's gunning for us. Wow, that tiger charged us down. This could be really bad. Tigers are a very dangerous opponent because they've got a ton of health and do a ton of damage. We could try and run away, but I don't know how well that'll go. We're going to try and fight it as best we can. So, we can use our mounted donkey here to hoof stomp this tiger. 2 damage, remove 1 of the hearts. We can combine these die together as well. So combining an attack die, which normally does 1 damage, and combining a defense die, which normally adds 1 shield, will give us a total of 2 attack and 2 shield, and rather than just giving 1 of each, which is pretty awesome. So let's riposte that. That gives us some defense, and we can take both of these support die to either give us a 2 shield effect, or if we're lucky and we can get the Tesla gun to roll here, you can do a ton of damage. Now, in each combat you can roll 3 times, so we have 2 rolls left. Let's see if we can't get the 1 in 3 chance of getting the Tesla gun. No such luck, so we'll take a 2 defense shield and we'll end the round, and hopefully nobody dies. Now the enemy does the same thing and rolls its attacks. Unfortunately, it rolled 8 damage with the Fang's attacks, so our trader is currently wounded and potentially badly damaged. Thankfully, we did roll our Tesla gun, which is better than nothing. Let's hoof this here tiger again, save the Tesla gun, save the mind die, and we'll reroll the others. Well, it worked in the end. We got the alternating beam effect, which is a pretty incredibly powerful thing with the Tesla gun, giving us the ability to do 7 damage to an enemy at the cost of 1 damage to ourselves. So we're going to do that, and hopefully survive this combat by using the defensive die to give us at least 1 point of shield. There's a good chance that our cook will probably take a ton of damage this turn, but hopefully she doesn't get knocked unconscious. Oh, that's real bad. Oh, but she survived with half a heart. Fantastic. As long as we can do 1 damage, we should be fine here, and the hoof should allow us to do that no problem. There it is. Hoof down the tiger. Fantastic. Oh, that could have been much worse. On the plus side, though, we can now loot the tiger, which gives us a tiger pelt, 3 animal teeth, and 2 raw meat. There we go. Unfortunately, people don't like us murdering the tigers, so that makes us a little bit unpopular with the natives, but we'll have to deal with that as we go. We're going to dismount Mr. Mark so that we can get the extra carrying capacity, and we're going to cook up this raw meat into some charcoaled animal meat, which is not the best, but it gives us 2 sanity back each, so whatever. Can't complain too much. In the meantime, kind of want to travel over in this direction now to fight this other tiger, but it's such a bad idea. We're just going to try and see if we can't escape by going right past it. Uh-oh. 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 Oh no. Oh no. We're not going to be able to win this fight, so we're going to try and flee here. We managed to escape. The group was scared and exhausted afterwards. We realized afterwards that in our hectic retreat we lost some of our inventory on the way. Well, I don't think we lost anything too important. It looks like we lost a firework and some shovels. But I don't generally keep the shovels anyway, and the fireworks are not a thing I'm particularly fond of, so honestly we got out of that pretty well. We are going to eat the rest of our really nice cooked meat here so that we can hopefully get right out of this guy's range. Whew, and investigate this shrine. Nobody got any negative effects there? No, we're good. Our trader is wounded, but otherwise alright. Now we do have 2 promotions we should give out here, and I probably should have done that earlier, but we're going to do it now. We're going to level up our trader here so that he has 2 health instead of only 1. Of course, right now he's still unconscious, so he doesn't have any health, but it's better than nothing. And we're going to level up Jacqueline Rousseau as well to make her a better cook. Every time you level up a character, they get better at what their character does, so now she's better at cooking to generate better sanity recovery from food, and the trader gives us a better bartering deal. But they also generally gain more health and can sometimes gain extra die, which is incredibly valuable. As it is, though, let's examine this shrine and see what happens. We arrived at a long-forgotten shrine. Its stone walls were covered with ornate engravings. Waist-high stairs led up to an enormous doorway. I could swear I heard the sound of rushing water underneath the ground. Well, this sounds safe. Let's enter the shrine and see what happens. We arrived at what seemed to be the treasure chamber. It was a truly awe-inspiring sight. Our steps echoed as we approached the sacred altar. Let's investigate. Aha, we found a golden llama. We'll take that. A nice treasure for us to steal. What a glorious day. We took the artifact from the altar. We grabbed the treasure and hurried outside as enormous fountains of water broke through the ground and started to flood the whole area. We had to run for our lives, not drown in the huge lake that began to form. And now this whole area goes crazy as it fills up with water. Time for us to flee. As you can see there, the terrain is turning into lake, and if we get caught up in that, that's not going to go well for us. Currently, we want to try and find the pyramid, but we just did, so things are going to go okay for us after all. We'll chug a whiskey so we can make it here without having to go at any point with 0 stamina, and let's get out of here before anything else terrible happens to us. The majestic golden pyramid rose above its environment, overcoming all the obstacles we had yet survived. Let's enter the pyramid. After weeks of traveling, euphoria overcame me. I knew that my name would be forever remembered. And we can finish our first expedition. Aw, yeah. Fantastic. Alright, so, as a result, we start with 10 fame. For finding a golden pyramid, we gain 100 fame. For finding 4 new butterflies, we gain 20 fame. And for every day that we spent in traveling, we lose 1. So we make a net gain of 55 fame on this expedition, putting us at a new total of 65. Not bad for your first expedition, but that's not where the real fame bonus comes from. With our current triumph here, we have the ability now to choose some new upgrades, which is pretty nice. We can take Jungle Explorer, which makes moving through the jungle easier. We can take Waterproof, which makes moving through rivers easier. Or we can take Black Market, which gives you more gear options when heading out for a new trek. Now, none of these are great, but I'm going to take Jungle Explorer, because you often get large chunks of jungle side by side, and being able to travel through them easier can make your expeditions a lot cheaper to travel through. Alright, and now we can see our opponents are all doing phenomenally well. Phenomenally well indeed. However, this is where the real turnaround comes in. We have all these artifacts and things we've found. But by returning these to the museum, we can gain a huge fame boost, or by selling them at auction, we can gain a huge funds boost. So, the Golden Llama, we'll give that to the museum because they give us the biggest benefit. And that bumps us up into 4th place. With these elephant tusks, we can sell them for a huge amount of value at auction, so we'll do that with both of them, giving us a large amount of money to start our next expedition. Same with the tiger pelts, most used for selling. And these animal teeth can be used either way, so we're going to gift all of them to the museum to bump us up into 2nd place. There we go. Alright, so, our expedition is going fairly well so far, let's continue. Now we have 2 options. We can either go to the untouched grasslands or the opulent drylands. Opulent drylands sound good, but I think we're going to head to the untouched grasslands for now. Play it a little bit safe while our party is still not the most powerful. So, let's begin our 2nd expedition. After getting up very early, I arrived at the harbor. The crew had preparations left to do, so I had one last pot of tea. A scientist approached me this morning with a request. He told me about a mysterious box that was buried somewhere in the area we were headed to. He promised to reward us handsomely if we brought it back to him. Well, that sounds entirely not questionable. He nodded gratefully and wished us luck. Before his departure, he warned us not to open the box. Sister Philippa, a missionary, offered to join our expedition as well. Yeah, okay. Now this is unlike the first missionary we had. She actually wants to join our expedition as one of our main party members. So we can take her on board to fill out the 5th of our 5 available slots. So we'll take her. We might not keep her. We want to try and swap her out hopefully for a soldier of some kind. But for the time being, having her in the party is not a penalty and definitely will help us out. So we'll take her along. Now we have the ability to purchase equipment as well, which will be pretty nice. What can we buy here? We'll use the remaining time to visit the local outfitter before setting off, and we knew that many of these items would be hard to come by in the wild. No torches. That's the big thing I look for whenever we come into a place like this, if they have any torches to sell, because they're very valuable for exploring caves, and otherwise exploring caves is quite dangerous. But as it is, we're going to grab ourselves 5 climbing gear, and we're going to grab a whole pile of whiskeys. I would rather not buy all the whiskey in the world, but as it stands, we're going to need some way to regenerate stamina on the fly, and we can't necessarily rely on our cook yet. So we're going to take some whiskey with us, so we at least have some options. We have our shovels that we need, we have our new map to find our new missing piece of treasure, and I think this will do for now. So, let's do that deal. It'll cost most of the money we found, but that's how it goes. And now we travel out on a new expedition. Well, well, well. Alright, so let's see what this map looks like. The treasure map tells us where we need to dig to potentially be able to find our missing item, but until we find it, it's going to be pretty difficult. Now, we're starting down here. Our second map area is up here, and our third one is this way. Alright, so that's where we need to go. We know that by observing these markings changing color as we mouse over the empty map. A very valuable thing to be able to do. So let's start our expedition properly and see what we can find. A stone statue. Let's examine it and find out what happens. I inspected the mysterious man-made granite derpy figure. The ghastly visage seemed to look right at us. It was a disconcerting sight, and I desired to move on. I noticed a few items by the statue, however. They must have been put there by people from a nearby village. They were sacrificial offerings, it seemed. Well, let's examine them, see what there is. 5 mangoes and 4 cocaine. Lovely. It's actually coca leaves, but still. So, we can take these items if we want them, but it will turn the natives against us. I'm kind of tempted to take the coca leaves. Mangoes are a great way to regenerate your sanity as well, but they do spoil quickly. But you know what? Just for the fun of it, we'll take everything for now. We took what was useful to us from the sacrificial offerings. And that's a huge standing decrease, so you gotta be careful with that kind of thing. But at the moment, we're not going to worry too much about it. We're just going to travel on further. Here is an old camp. I wonder what we'll find inside here. Let's explore and find out. But first, we'll eat some of these mangoes. There we go. We found an old campsite, likely the remains of a failed expedition before us. All the bones we found have been cracked open, and as it seemed, sucked dry. Well, let's search the area and see what we find. I told the people to form small teams and investigate the surroundings, and to our surprise, one of the rotting crates still held some valuable equipment. Inside, I found 2 more whiskey and 5 ropes. That's a pretty nice reward, so we'll take that with us. As we departed, however, we became aware that our presence had again attracted ferocious wildlife. Hyenas! Alright, well, we're probably going to have to deal with them. Might not be the worst thing for us either, but we're probably going to have to fight them, and it might not go too well. So let's see if we can't get away. We did, in fact, get away. That's surprising. And we managed to travel exactly to our next location here, the mission. Interesting. I don't think we've spotted our map location yet. We'll take a quick peek through here. Nope, nowhere near enough forest for that to be the case. Enough jungle, I suppose. But we can visit this mission and see what happens. Since we have a missionary in our party, we have a cool ability to be able to rest for free in missions, which is awesome, so we get a free sleep here if we want it. For now, though, before we do that, we're going to level up our trader again. There we go. He gets an extra life, and he gets the ability to give us even better deals once we trade here. We entered the mission and were welcomed by an old missionary. He was visibly relieved to see new faces, as they had been out here for what seemed like an eternity. He greeted Sister Philippa warmly and assured us that we were welcome to sleep in the safety of his walls at any time. Let's see what he has to trade. The missionary returned with some of his supplies. With our barter ability, we could maybe get a whiskey free? Nah, we can't get anything free from here. We could get 1 medkit for free, which would not be a bad thing, especially since medkits are pretty valuable. If I sell him both of our fireworks, can I get another one? Yes, I can. Can I get 1 firework back? Not quite. Fair enough. Well, we're going to take 2 of these medkits, because these allow you to be wounded in battle and then recover afterwards, which is pretty important. If we were to trade him our mangoes as well, would we get another one? How do we get all of his first aid kits? Do we need them all? Probably not. Are we going to take them all? If we can. Yeah, that's a perfect deal. Fantastic. Alright, we will take that thing. Sorry for that noise there, guys. I'm sure you heard that, but nothing I can do about it. Might try and edit it out in post, but we'll see. Let's do a deal here and get ourselves a whole pile of medkits to deal with emergencies. With that said, we can now rest here. The priest was glad to have some company and let us rest in the comforting safety inside the mission walls. The priest scurried off for a while, but came back with several bottles of whiskey that he wanted to share with us. Well, I don't really want my people to become an alcoholic, which is what happens if you drink some whiskey sometimes. We have plenty of whiskey later to become alcoholics with, and we don't need a huge boost to our sanity, so we're just going to refuse for now. We politely refused the offered alcohol. We had to keep our senses together as we planned to get up early the next morning. After a good night's rest, we were ready to partake in new adventures. So, we have a cool ability here to leave things in the storage room this guy has, so that they get sent back automatically for us. They don't have to stay in our inventory. But since we don't have anything we want to actually leave here, that doesn't do us any good. So we shook hands and he wished us luck. Then it was time to move onwards towards new adventures. He gives us a day, but refills our sanity. We have alligators over here as well. Jeez. What a hostile place this area is today. Alright, we have to head over here now to be able to investigate this. We want to try and avoid the alligators. The alligators are much more dangerous than the hyenas, so it's much safer for us to try and come this way. Hyenas are coming for blood, though. Alright, there's only 2 of them, which is a pretty low danger encounter here, so let's see if we can't take them out nice and quick. Now, we could go for a combo like this. Oh, wrong one. Like this, which gives you a 5 damage attack, which is not awful. But since we don't actually have the donkey here, because I forgot to mount it before we traveled, we don't have that extra 2 damage hits. That's not necessarily the best strategy right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to save this, this, and roll the rest of the die again. With that done, we have the ability to get more of those less than ideal combos. We'll roll one more time and hope we get lucky here. No, we did not get the luck we needed. That is unfortunate. So, we can go for a punctuation hit here, though, for 5 damage, which we will do. And we'll combine a defensive die and a stability die for a 2-dice block. Not amazing, but it'll hopefully be enough. I have a feeling our nun is going to die this turn. No, 1 damage to Tesla himself. I'm okay with that. If a character does get knocked out to the point where they are no longer able to act in combat, they're not dead forever, but they are going to be significantly in trouble. So, hopefully we can avoid that from happening. Now that we have the med kits, it's not so bad, though. Alright, alternating beam, 7 damage to 1 hyena. Blast him. That is a dead hyena. And we have enough here to immediately kill the other one as well with a kick to the face. Bop. Fantastic. That went much better than it might have. We stripped what was useful for the remains, getting 2 hyena pelts, 2 meat, and 2 teeth. Very nice. Okay. Well, let's investigate over here. Climbing up on these hills will give us a huge visibility boost, which is always really nice. Ah, there was nothing else in this part of the map. That's unfortunate. We're going to have to head over this way then, I think. But that's unlikely, because there's a whole lot of map up here. There must be some stuff way up in this corner, maybe? Probably, that's what I'd imagine. It's going to cost us a lot of climbing gear to get out of here, though, or just a lot of general movement. If we explore these springs, we can rest here, which is not a bad idea. It'll also allow us to heal people who are injured, but at the time nobody is. So, let's rest. Our trek stopped at a place of outstanding natural beauty. The water had a strong coloring, its healing capabilities being more than obvious. Really nice area looking, too. I like the art for this place. Let's rest overnight here. We prepared camp and told the people to rest. It was a warm and starry night. While sitting around the fireplace, we heard an unsettling rasping sound coming from behind a nearby tree. Let's investigate it. A young native with a terrible fever and an infected wound lay shivering behind the tree. Well, we have a first aid kit to help you out, so let's see what happens if we help him. Fortunately, we had medicine that we used to disinfect the wound and lower the fever. The young woman thanked us, but declined any further help and walked off into the night. Well, oh well. We got 2 standing for that, which I suppose is better than nothing. And we can rest ourselves back to health. Everyone enjoyed the stay here a lot. The water sparkled in the sunlight as we prepared to head out again. Alright. As we departed, we became aware that our campfire had set some nearby bushes alight, and before we knew what happened, the fire began to spread. Well, that's unfortunate. Thankfully for us, though, the fire's on the wrong side of everything to cause any serious damage here. So it's probably just going to burn that section of forest down. And we're getting attacked by an alligator, which is really bad. Alright, folks, this may not go so well. We're going to do our best here to fight back, so there's an objective... Oh, excuse me, the hiccups are a terrible thing. There's an objective hidden right here, but this alligator is going to give us a hard time. Thankfully, there's only one of him, but this is not going to go well. Alligators are very dangerous. We need to do a lot of damage in a hurry. Alright, let's save this, this, and this. Power them up for an alternating beam attack. Blast them. Alright, 7 damage, brought him down to still, like, half health remaining. But this is nice. We can either do a kick or a riposte here. Let's roll this one again, see if we can get something that combines. Nope, a riposte it is then. That gives us 2 defense, which is probably not going to be enough. Let's end the round and see how badly it mashes us in the face. Thankfully, it rolled really poorly, so nobody died. That was awesome. It had a really bad roll there. Let's roll and see if we can't take this thing down. This is not looking good, though. Not looking good at all. There's a riposte. There's both of the mental die we need. If we get the Tesla gun, no, we cannot. We can combine this together for a 3 damage block. Not great. I guess the 3 damage block is all we get since we have no rolls left, though. 5 damage of defense should be pretty good, but we need to be able to hurt this thing to be able to win this battle, and that's a 5 damage hit right there. 4 damage directly to our trader, and 5 damage blocked by our shields. Let's roll some damage die, please, game. We need them. Combine all these together for a shielded riposte, and see if we can't make the rest work out for us, too. If we can keep these and roll the Tesla gun, we should be fine. But we cannot. Oh, no. Alright, let's end the round and see if we can't live through this. Okay, that is perfectly absorbed by our shields. We're not doing a lot of damage, but we're able to hold our own here pretty remarkably well. Alright, that maybe will do it. We'll see. Hit the riposte. Grab our defensive die again. Roll again. There's the Tesla gun. That is a dead alligator. Fantastic. That could have gone much worse if our defensive die hadn't pulled in so well there. We loot the dead, getting a crocodile skin, 5 more teeth, and 4 more meat. Fantastic. You have any level ups? No, not at the moment. So, let's investigate what this is first. Oh, I can't travel because I'm over encumbered, of course. I don't really want to do anything with these items yet because we might want to be able to use them for something. But as it stands, we don't have a whole lot of options. Also, I haven't been looking for my my treasure map here. We may have already passed it. I don't think we have, though. From what I see on the map here, none of these locations look like what we need, so it looks like we're okay for now. Alright. In that case, what we're going to do is we're going to cook up all of our meat. There we go, into burnt animal meat, which we can then eat for a little bit of a sanity refill. There we go. And we can investigate what this is. This is a Shaman Hut. Excellent. That can be very useful, although we don't need it at the moment. Let's investigate. We enter a mysterious-looking hut. It was dark and damp inside, with all kinds of dried herbs and other peculiar things hanging from the walls. A native shaman approached us with an absent stare as he chewed on some leaves. Let's see if he has anything we want to trade for. As if time was moving slower for him, the shaman got out a bag made of animal hide and presented his wares. Well, he's got some tome pages and some coca leaves, but nothing we actually want, so we'll leave him there for now. We did not come to an agreement with the shaman. The fire's still raging over there, though. Alright, found some elephants over here, too. What do you know? However, it's been over 30 minutes, and we're going to have to end this episode here now, unfortunately, halfway through our second expedition. If you found this interesting so far, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and look forward to seeing you again in the next episode, where we'll hopefully continue this expedition and, maybe if we're lucky, get fully through the second one. That's our goal, anyway. As it stands, this has been Vanguard of Valor playing the Curious Expedition. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below, and I apologize for the long delay between videos. Until next time, thanks very much for watching, and bye-bye.